It is exactly 10 a.m. local time on December 27th, 2025. The VDNKH Exhibition Center in Moscow is a glowing island of defiance against the war. It is the biggest New Year's festival on Earth, a $100 million neon empire burning through the freezing night. The skating rink is twice the size of an NFL field. The New Year's tree is a lighthouse of state pride. Giant LED screens pump out images of smiling families and Russian strength. On the ice, a father lifts his young daughter onto her skates. Her pink gloves slip on his jacket as the fireworks begin their countdown. She laughs, her breath clouding in the cold light. The message from the Kremlin is clear. The war is far away. You are safe. The stage is set perfectly, but 20 miles northeast, deep inside the snow-heavy brush of Losiny Ostrov National Park, the reality of the war has arrived. A six-man team from Ukraine's Military Intelligence Service, the GUR, is operating in absolute silence. No lights, no radio chatter. They haven't brought cruise missiles. They have brought a garage-built miracle. 2 Dovbush T-10 mothership drones. These are 150-pound composite beasts with a 12-meter wingspan, designed to look like large birds on radar. Hidden under their wings is the real payload, 12 Wasp FPV drones. Small, fast, disposable, and lethal. They aren't aiming for a military base. They are aiming for the power heart that keeps the fairy tale alive. Moscow is ringed with Pantsir S-1 systems, billion-dollar air defense monsters that can track hundreds of targets. Sending slow drones into this net is usually suicide. But the GUR isn't relying on luck. They are relying on math. The plan is ruthless. Fly low. Ride the frozen Yaouza River at 200 feet. Use the city's own skyscrapers as a shield. At 10:10 a.m., the first Dovbush T-10 launches. As it crosses the 20-mile mark, the electronic landscape of Moscow snaps into panic. Russian radar crews see a swarm, but they aren't seeing the mothership. They are seeing dozens of cardboard decoy gliders released by the Ukrainians. The Pantsir radar screens light up with a massive strike package. And here is where the billion-dollar math fails. A Pantsir carries 12 missiles. Against a sky full of 50 targets, that is nothing. Panic sets in. The operators start ripple firing. 57 E-6 interceptor missiles streak upward. Each shot costs $1 million. They are blowing up cardboard and paper. Essentially, they are shooting diamonds at paper planes. Inside the command cabin of Pantsir Unit 04, Major Sokolov watches the radar screen clear. He wipes sweat from his forehead, despite the freezing cold outside. "Targets neutralized," he reports, his voice shaking slightly. He believes he has saved the city. He reaches for a cigarette, his hands trembling with adrenaline. He thinks the shift is over. He doesn't know that the real attack hasn't even started. While the Pantsirs are busy reloading, the Dovbush T-10 drops its payload. 6 Wasp drones detach and dive into the city canyons. But Moscow fights back with brute force. A Pantsir unit on a rooftop bypasses the decoys and engages with its twin 30mm autocannons. Wasp-1 is caught in a wall of high-explosive incendiary shells. It shatters into a glittering cloud of plastic and lithium. One down. Wasp-2 weaves between apartment blocks, but takes a 5.45mm round from a security team on a roof. It spins violently and slams into a Happy New Year billboard. 2 down. Wasp-3 gets baited by Russian electronic warfare, EW. Confused by false heat signatures, it slams into a brick chimney. 3 down. The mission is on the edge of failure. Half the wave is gone. But this is where psychology comes in. Wasps 4 and 5 pull aggressive high-G maneuvers, drawing the defender's fire for just 2 seconds. That is all Wasp-6 needs. It is the finisher. It screams over the perimeter fence of the substation at 130 miles per hour. It locks onto the main 20-kilovolt bus bar. Impact. The shaped charge fires a jet of molten copper into the transformer's heart. A sapphire blue electrical arc lights up the sky. But the substation is massive. One hit isn't enough. The lights at VDNKH flicker, but they stay on. The father on the ice barely notices. Major Sokolov, watching from his vehicle, breathes a sigh of relief. The damage is manageable. They can spin this. They are wrong. This was never a single strike. It was a double tap. The Pantsir S-1 has a deadly weakness. Once it fires its 12 missiles, it is useless for 5 minutes while a crew manually reloads it. And its gun barrels are glowing cherry red, warped from the heat. Just as the Russian crews climb out to vent the heat, Mothership 2 arrives from the northwest. It releases 6 fresh wasps. Major Sokolov drops his cigarette. He stares at the fresh red dots appearing on his screen. His tubes are empty. His guns are jammed. He screams for backup, but he knows it's too late. But this time, Moscow has an ace. An elite Rosgvardia unit scrambles a Krasuka 4 EW truck to a bridge overlooking the river. They blast the 2.4 GHz and 5.8 GHz bands with 500 watts of white noise. It is an electronic wall. Wasp-7 hits the wall and goes blind. It drifts helplessly into a high-rise balcony. Wasp-8 is hit by a handheld Skywiper jammer. It nosedives into the frozen river. Russian commanders feel control returning. But they forgot the most dangerous thing about Ukrainian warfare: adaptation. The remaining 4 wasps trigger their dead man AI. The jammers scream. The signals die. The drones don't. They start flying by sight. Their onboard processors begin running visual odometry, comparing the high-contrast lights of the city against a preloaded 3D digital map. They are reading the city like Braille. You can jam a signal. You cannot jam geometry. The drones accelerate. Russia activates a hidden Tor-M2 system near the Kremlin, the final boss. It fires its last missile, destroying Wasp-9. Wasp-10 sacrifices itself, climbing high to draw fire, buying 11 seconds of silence for the final 2. Wasps 11 and 12 are now inside 500 yards. They are screaming toward the target. On the ground, Russians throw everything upward: AK-74s, machine guns, even flare guns. It is a wall of lead. Wasp-11 takes a bullet through its battery pack. It catches fire, but momentum carries it forward. It misses the bus bar, but slams into the backup generator's fuel tank. A massive orange fireball erupts, filling the yard with smoke. And through that smoke comes Wasp-12. It has 4% battery left. Its front motor is vibrating, but the AI doesn't care about pain. It identifies the sweet spot where the oil cooling lines enter the pressurized casing. It dives. Impact. The 2-pound-shaped charge detonates in the -4 degrees Celsius cold. The physics are savage. The molten copper jet pierces the casing, causing a bolted fault. 70 tons of mineral oil superheat to 3,000 degrees in a microsecond. The pressure relief valves vaporize. A 100-foot sapphire arc of electricity shoots into the sky, turning the Moscow night into artificial daylight. Back at VDNKH, the "Everything is Fine" show meets reality. The sapphire light reflects off the ice rink like an omen. Then comes the sound Moscow never wanted to hear: regional circuit breakers detonating like cannon fire. The fairy lights surge with blinding brilliance, and then die. The filaments melt. The towering New Year's tree flickers like a dying star. Then, absolute, soul-crushing darkness. The music dies mid-note. The giant LED screens showing Russian glory go black. The father on the ice holds his daughter tighter as the world disappears around them. But let's be clear. The warheads did not aim for the ice. They did not aim for the crowd. The target wasn't the people. It was the illusion built around them. The lights went out, but the civilians were alive to see the truth. 3 miles away, Major Sokolov stands in the dark, staring at a dead screen. He realizes the city went black while his radar was still alive. He is standing guard over a graveyard of ambition. The heavy armor of the state has become a paper wall. The fortress has collapsed from the inside. The Ministry of Defense calls it a minor technical glitch, but NASA satellites show a massive thermal spike in the heart of the city. The exchange rate of this fight is humiliating. Ukraine spent $60,000, 2 Dovbush, 12 Wasps. Russia lost a multi-million-dollar transformer that will take months to replace under sanctions. Russia spent $15 million in missiles to shoot at cardboard. But the real damage is psychological. New Year's is the most important holiday in Russia. It is a ritual of state-mandated optimism. By casting VDNKH into darkness, Ukraine didn't just hit a transformer. They hit the myth. They proved that Moscow is not untouchable. The symbolism is brutal. You cannot weaponize winter against Ukrainian families and expect your own festive lights to stay on forever. What the world witnessed was the Dovbush Wasp doctrine in motion, a modern David versus Goliath, where AI-guided garage tech can dismantle a billion-dollar defense grid. Modern war isn't about who has the biggest missile. It's about who has the smartest algorithm and the will to return every blow with interest. So, here is the real question for the armchair generals watching this unfold. If you were commanding this drone unit, and you knew Russia is now dragging its remaining defense systems back to protect Moscow, leaving the front lines exposed, where would you strike next? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one.